Alien princes shocked after facing humanity's scouts and losing everything. Their empire, the Vorin Alliance, had conquered many star systems. They believed that humans were weak, slow, and simple. The human world called Earth was just a small, unimportant planet in a quiet corner of the galaxy. It had no fleets, no giant armies, and no planets worth fighting for. At least that was what the princes thought. Zerk leaned over the control panel and said, "These humans cannot even organize a defense. We will land, scout their cities, and return home. It will be easy." Kyler laughed. "I hope they at least put up some kind of show. It would be boring if we do this without a fight." Thanes shook his head. "Remember, this is just observation. No need to waste lives. We strike only if necessary." They approached the moon orbiting Earth. It was small and gray, with sharp craters and no atmosphere. The princes believed no humans would be here. They assumed the scouts would come later, only when a real fleet arrived. But the humans were already there. 5 scouts moved quietly among the craters, hiding behind rocks. The team had been sent to test the alien presence. They were not soldiers, only humans trained to observe, report, and if needed, defend themselves. Jack Carter, the team leader, looked through his binoculars. He was tall with brown hair and calm eyes. He whispered, "They're coming closer, no weapons yet, but they look big. Stay calm." Emma Wright, the communications officer, checked the sensors. "They have advanced shields. We cannot face them head-on. We need to slow them, confuse them, and keep them away from the base." Lucas Hall, the scout engineer, smiled. "Easy. I have a few surprises ready." He carried small drones that could jam alien systems. Claire Benson, the scout medic, nodded. "Remember, we are not here to fight. We are here to protect ourselves and learn about them." The human scouts moved silently, making small noises only when necessary. Their training was strong, but they were nervous too. This was their first live encounter with aliens. Zerk's ship landed lightly on the surface. The ground shook under the weight of the craft. The air inside the ship smelled of polished metal and electronics. The princes stepped out, their armor shining under the moonlight. "This is easy," Zerk said, looking at the barren ground. "Where are these humans? I see nothing." Kyler pointed to a rock and frowned. "Perhaps they are hiding. Still, we are 3. One could handle 10 of them." Thanes held up a hand. "Caution, observation first." The scouts watched from their hiding spots. Jack whispered, "Remember the plan. We act calm. We do not attack unless necessary. Our goal is to survive and report." The princes walked slowly toward a small crater, expecting to find abandoned equipment or signs of primitive human life. Instead, a small device moved in front of them. A drone. No, it was bigger than expected. It hummed and scanned the ship. Lucas pressed a button on his wrist console. The drone sent signals that interfered with the alien shields. The princes froze. Their armor flickered and their energy shields wavered. Zerk's voice rose. "What is this? Shields failing." Kyler tried to send a signal to his ship, but the communication was blocked. "This is impossible. Their technology is primitive." Thanes looked around. "Do not panic. This could be a minor system interference. Check your panels." Jack and Emma moved closer, but stayed behind the rocks. The humans were calm, their movements precise. They did not shout or run. They only acted as trained. Suddenly, a small pulse hit the ground near the princes. Sand flew, and their feet slipped slightly. It was not strong, but it was enough to surprise them. "They are playing with us," Zerk said angrily. "Send a stronger signal." Kyler raised his hand. "Wait, we cannot see them. Are they inside the rocks?" Lucas whispered into his wrist. "Just follow the pattern." "They are testing your reaction." The princes realized something terrifying. These humans were not afraid. They were not panicking. They were clever. The idea that humans were weak began to fade. Jack decided to act. He signaled Emma and Lucas. Drones moved quietly, creating illusions of larger teams behind rocks. Tiny explosions, barely enough to break stone, made it seem as if humans were everywhere. Thanes turned to Zerk. "They are many. How can this be? There are only 5 visible humans." Zerk's voice shook. "They are hiding, maybe hundreds of them. Maybe we underestimated them." The aliens tried to call their fleet, but interference blocked their messages. The small human team was stopping them from sending signals. They had no idea humans could act this fast with such efficiency. The princes moved back toward their ship, but Jack and Lucas set small energy traps near the landing pad. They were designed not to kill, but to slow the aliens. Shields flickered and engines sputtered. Kyler shouted, "This is madness! How can 5 humans control my ship?" Emma stepped forward from the cover of a rock and raised her hands. We do not want to fight. Just leave this moon and report your observations peacefully. Thanes paused. You are only scouts? Jack nodded. We are scouts. Our job is to observe and protect, not to start wars, but we will defend ourselves if needed. Zerk's pride burned. We will not be stopped by mere scouts. The princes tried to lift off, but the human trap slowed their engines. A small pulse from Lucas's console hit the ship's systems. Panels blinked and shields wavered again. Claire moved closer, calm and careful. You see, you cannot rely on size or power alone. We work together, we think, and we adapt. That is how humans survive. Zerk felt fear for the first time in his life. Not the fear of dying, but the fear of losing control. He had never faced enemies who were so few and so clever. Kyler's hands shook slightly. How is this possible? They are only scouts. They should run from us. Thanes took a deep breath. Perhaps we have misunderstood. Humans are not weak, not at all. Jack and Emma smiled slightly. They did not celebrate. They knew the battle was small, but it mattered. 5 humans could outsmart 3 alien princes. Zerk finally gave the order to retreat. The ship lifted slightly, but Lucas's drones kept interfering. Sparks flew from the engine and the ship wobbled. We must leave, Zerk yelled. Send the call for reinforcements. Thanes looked at him, his face pale. They are scouts, Zerk, 5 humans, and we cannot even leave. The humans stepped back slowly. They were calm, observing, learning. The princes scrambled into the ship, shouting orders, trying to regain control. As the alien ship lifted off, Jack whispered to the team, they survived. They will tell their empire about us. We have made them fear something small, something they cannot control. Emma nodded. That is enough for now. Our job is done. Lucas smiled. And they thought humans were weak. What a surprise. Claire looked at the horizon. They will remember this day. Small teams can do big things. That is the truth of humanity. The princes watched the moon disappear below them. They were shocked, confused, and afraid. What they thought would be an easy mission became a nightmare. Their arrogance crumbled. They had underestimated humans, and now they knew their empire might not be as safe as they believed. Zerk turned to Kyler and Thanes. We must rethink everything. These humans, they are not what we imagined. Thanes nodded slowly. We faced only scouts, only 5 of them, and we almost lost everything. What will happen if the real humans arrive? Kyler did not answer. He only stared at the stars, silently fearing what lay ahead. The moon was quiet again. The human scouts regrouped, checking their equipment. No one celebrated, but everyone knew they had changed the balance of power in a small, important way. Jack looked at his team. We survived. We did our job. The Empire will learn that humans are not so simple. That is all that matters. Emma smiled. And tomorrow we prepare for what comes next. They will return and we must be ready, but we are not afraid. Lucas checked his drones. Let them come. We can handle them. We always do. Claire nodded. Humanity survives always. We are small but clever. That is our strength. And with that, the first encounter ended. The princes fled, shocked and humiliated. The humans remained calm, ready, and unafraid. A small team had faced mighty alien princes and won without firing a single heavy weapon. The story of humanity's scouts had begun part 2, small teams. Big damage, the alien princes returned to space, shaken and unsure. Zerk, Kyler, and Thanes could not believe what had happened. 5 human scouts had stopped them from completing a simple observation mission. Their shields had failed, their engines had sputtered, and their pride was shattered. Zerk slammed his clawed hand on the control panel. How is this possible? 5 humans and they almost destroyed my ship. We are princes of the Vorin Alliance. We are not supposed to lose. Thanes looked grim. We underestimated them. That is our mistake. They are not weak. They are different, clever, coordinated, and fearless. Kyler clenched his fists. We need reinforcements. We cannot let a few humans embarrass the Empire. Send a fleet and crush them. Thanes shook his head. Not yet. We do not even know what we face. Sending a fleet blindly may only make it worse. We must understand humans first. Meanwhile, on the moon, the human scouts prepared for what might come next. Jack Carter gathered the team near the rocks. They will come back, he said calmly. They will report to their empire and more will follow. We need to plan our next moves carefully. Emma Wright checked her scanner. We have slowed them down, but this is only the beginning. We are scouts. We cannot fight a full fleet, only delay them and learn. Lucas Hall grinned, adjusting his drones. We can slow them even more. They rely on technology and our small devices can confuse them. We do not need big weapons. Claire Benson looked at the horizon. Remember, our goal is to survive and gather information. We do not attack unless necessary. Humans win when we are smart, not when we are violent. The scouts worked through the night, setting small traps, planting signal jammers, and monitoring alien communications. They knew the princes had learned something too. They had seen how humans could act as a team. In the alien empire, the news of the encounter spread quickly. High-ranking officers were shocked. "The humans are stronger than we thought," one commander said. "We cannot rely on numbers alone. A small team can destroy ships, disable shields, and escape." Zerk, Kyler, and Thanes were summoned to the council chamber. The Emperor's face was stern. "3 princes and already you have failed. Explain yourselves." Thanes spoke carefully. "We encountered human scouts, only 5. They stopped us without a full fleet. We underestimated them." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. 5 humans. You speak as if a handful of them are a threat." Zerk's voice shook with anger and fear. "They are not ordinary humans. They are clever, coordinated, and fearless. We could not control them. Our shields failed. We almost lost everything." Kyler added, "They are only scouts, yet they acted as if they were an army. This is not weakness. This is strength beyond anything we expected." The Emperor paused, then leaned back. "Perhaps we have indeed misjudged humans. Prepare a small fleet, but proceed with caution. Do not repeat your mistakes. We cannot afford to lose more than we have already." Back on the moon, the human scouts continued their work. Jack studied the alien ship from a distance. "We have delayed them. Their pride is hurt. Their empire will respond carefully. We cannot fight full forces yet, but we can confuse and slow them." Emma nodded. "We need to remain calm and smart. They will send more ships, but our tactics work because we think differently. They rely on technology, but we rely on strategy and observation." Lucas's drones moved silently, scanning the alien ship. "We can predict their moves. They are proud but predictable. They do not expect humans to fight like this." Claire reminded the team, "Remember, we are scouts. We gather information, protect ourselves, and delay enemies. We do not need to defeat an empire. We only need to survive and report." The alien princes regrouped near a small asteroid field. Zerk paced back and forth. "We cannot let humans humiliate us again. They are only scouts, but they act like generals. We must find a way to counter them." Thanes looked at the scanners. "We have powerful weapons, but they cannot hit targets they cannot see. These humans hide, observe, and strike at the right moment. We must be patient and careful." Kyler slammed a panel. "Patience. They are weak. Why should we wait? We can crush them now." Thanes shook his head. "That is our mistake. We rushed before and we were almost defeated. We must adapt. The humans are small but clever. If we act recklessly, we will lose everything." In the next days, the humans continued small operations to test the aliens. Jack and Emma coordinated traps that slowed the alien fleet. Lucas deployed drones that jammed communications. Claire provided medical support and observed alien behavior. One evening, as the alien ship hovered near a crater, the humans activated a decoy system. Holograms of dozens of humans appeared in the rocks. The princes saw movement everywhere. Shadows of scouts appeared behind rocks, in craters, and on ridges. Zerk yelled, "There are hundreds. We cannot fight so many." Thanes' hands shook. "They are clever. They create illusions. They are only 5, yet they act like an army." Kyler's voice was quiet now. "We cannot predict them. Every time we think we understand humans, they surprise us again." Jack watched from his hiding spot. "They think they are alone. Let them wonder. Confusion works in our favor. We do not need to destroy them, only delay and teach them caution." Emma nodded. "Humans survive by learning, observing, and acting together. Small teams can achieve big results. That is our strength." As the alien ship tried to lift off again, Lucas sent a pulse to their engines. Sparks flew from the ship's panels and the princes struggled to regain control. Thanes shouted, "We cannot leave. They interfere with our systems." Zerk gritted his teeth. "How can 5 humans do this? How can such weakness be so dangerous?" Jack's team remained calm. They did not celebrate. They knew this encounter would only delay the Empire, not defeat it. But their small team had already achieved something incredible. They had taught 3 alien princes to fear humanity, even when humans were outnumbered and outgunned. Claire looked at the moon's surface. "Humans survive because we think, not because we are strong. Small teams can change everything if they work together. That is our lesson." The aliens finally managed to leave the moon, damaged but alive. Zerk's face burned with anger and shame. Thanes was silent, only thinking about what they had learned. Kyler stared at the stars, realizing that humans were nothing like the Empire had described. Jack whispered to the team, "We did it. We slowed them. They will report this. Their Empire will think twice before underestimating humans again." Emma added, "Our job is not done. We must continue to observe and protect. The Empire will return. More ships will come. We must stay ready." Lucas smiled, "And they will learn that humans do not fight like everyone else. We are small but clever. That is enough to survive." Claire nodded. "We will continue our work. Scouts do not need numbers. We only need skill, teamwork, and patience. That is humanity's real strength." The alien princes flew back to report, unaware of the full skill and patience of human scouts. Every small action the humans took had caused confusion, delay, and fear. The princes realized that humans could never be ignored again. 5 scouts had achieved what the Empire had thought impossible. They had shown that small teams could cause chaos in the strongest fleets. Zerk turned to Thanes. "We faced only scouts, only 5 humans, and we almost lost everything. What will happen if a real human army comes?" Thanes' voice was quiet. "I do not want to imagine it, but we must prepare, because they are clever, brave, and unlike anything we have faced before." Kyler did not speak. He only stared at the stars, a mixture of fear and disbelief in his eyes. The humans watched from the moon, calm and ready. Small teams, simple tools, and careful strategy had defeated pride and technology. Humanity's scouts had made their first mark. Jack looked at his team. "We survived. We learned. We delayed the enemy. That is enough for now." Emma smiled. "And tomorrow we prepare again. The Empire will return, but we are ready. Humanity survives always." Lucas checked his drones. "Let them come. We can handle them. We always do." Claire nodded. "Small teams can achieve big results. That is the lesson of today. The Empire will learn it soon enough." The alien princes flew through space, fearful and shaken. Humanity's scouts were only a small part of a larger force, but they had already shown that small teams could cause big damage. The Empire had underestimated humans, and it would be a mistake they would not forget. Part 3. The truth about humanity. The alien princes were back in their home system, but they could not sleep. Zerk, Kyler, and Thanes had returned damaged, confused, and frightened. Every time they closed their eyes, they saw the small human scouts on the moon. 5 humans. That was all. Yet those 5 had almost destroyed their mission and shaken the pride of the Vorin Alliance. Zerk slammed his clawed hand on the command table. "How can 5 humans do this? Their technology is smaller, weaker, and slower. Yet they fight like generals. How is it possible?" Thanes paced slowly. "It is not just technology, Zerk. It is how they think. They are clever, coordinated, and fearless. They are not afraid to take small risks for big results." Kyler looked at the stars with wide eyes. "We have seen thousands of worlds. We have fought fleets that numbered in the thousands. Yet 5 humans, small, fragile, and simple, they have shown more skill than many entire systems." The Emperor called the 3 princes to a council chamber. The room was large, with bright lights and screens showing maps of distant systems. High-ranking commanders waited. "Princes," the Emperor began, "you have returned after encountering human scouts. Explain what happened. Do not lie." Thanes spoke carefully. "Your Majesty, humans are not what we expected. They are not weak. The scouts we faced were only 5 in number, yet they slowed us, interfered with our systems, and forced us to retreat. Their strength is not in weapons, but in intelligence, observation, and teamwork." Zerk growled. "They are clever beyond belief. They hide, observe, and strike with precision. Even small devices can destroy our shields. We could not control them, and we almost lost everything." Kyler nodded. "They act as a unit. They do not panic, they do not argue, and they do not fail. Humans survive by thinking differently, not by relying on size or power." A commander scoffed. "You speak of 5 humans as if they were a fleet. They are nothing. The Empire is strong. We can destroy them easily." Thanes shook his head. "That is why we failed. We assumed humans were weak like every other minor species. We acted with pride, and it nearly cost us. They are not weak. They are patient, clever, and dangerous in ways we cannot measure." The Emperor's face was serious. "Perhaps we have indeed misjudged humans. Prepare defensive measures and do not underestimate them again. Send observation fleets first, not attack fleets. Learn from them before striking." Back on Earth's moon, the human scouts worked quietly. Jack Carter and Emma Wright discussed the next steps. They will return, Jack said calmly. And soon more ships may follow. Our goal is to survive, observe, and delay them. We do not need to fight full fleets. Our tactics work because we are small, clever, and patient. Emma nodded. Humans survive by learning. We watch, we adapt, and we act as one. 5 scouts can make a difference if we think clearly. That is our strength. Lucas Hall checked his drones. They think technology is everything, but it is not. Small devices, good planning, and coordination can confuse even the strongest ships. That is enough for now. Claire Benson examined alien signals. They do not understand humans. They rely on numbers and power. Humans rely on intelligence, trust, and adaptability. That is why small teams like ours can survive against empires. Jack turned to the team. We have proven that humans cannot be ignored. 5 scouts delayed alien princes, forced them to retreat, and made them think twice. We only need to remain careful, clever, and united. That is how humans always survive. A week passed. Small alien ships began to scout near the outer planets of the solar system. The princes reported to the Empire that humans were unpredictable, patient, and clever. The Empire began to see that humans were not ordinary. Zerk was angry. They think they are safe, they are small and weak, yet they act like generals. Why do they survive? Why can 5 humans delay us so much? Thanes answered slowly. Because humans think, they observe, learn, and adapt. They do not panic, they do not act blindly. We have armies, weapons, and ships. Humans have strategy, patience, and teamwork. That is enough to surprise even princes. Kyler stared at a screen showing human activity on the moon. We cannot predict them. Every time we think we understand, they surprise us again. Humans survive by thinking differently. Meanwhile, the human scouts prepared for the possibility of larger forces. Jack gave orders calmly. We continue small operations. We do not attack unless necessary. Our goal is information and defense. 5 humans can achieve much if we act wisely. Emma checked sensors. The aliens may return in larger numbers, but we can confuse them, delay them, and survive. We need to observe their behavior carefully. Humans win when we think first. Lucas smiled. They will learn our strength too late. Humans do not fight like others. We use brains before weapons. That is enough for now. Claire nodded. We must stay calm, coordinated, and ready. Humans survive because we think, adapt, and act as one. That is our true strength. The alien princes tried to reorganize their fleets. Zerk argued with the commanders. We must crush humans before they grow stronger. They are clever, but we are many. Yet, after facing 5 scouts, I do not know if we can win easily. Thanes whispered, we are proud, but they are patient. Humans survive because they plan, observe, and act together. Our numbers will not matter if we do not adapt. Kyler remained silent. He watched the stars, thinking about the small human scouts and how easily they had changed his view of the galaxy. Back on the moon, Jack and Emma discussed what they had learned. They underestimate us, Jack said, and that is why we can survive. Humans are not the strongest, but we are clever, united, and patient. We use our minds more than our weapons. Emma nodded. And that is why scouts matter. We observe, protect, and delay enemies. Our work changes the balance of power. 5 humans can make even princes afraid. Lucas moved his drones carefully across the moon's surface. We are small, but we can confuse, jam, and control the battlefield. Humans survive because we think first, act carefully, and work as a team. That is enough to change battles, even wars. Claire smiled quietly. We do not need fleets. We do not need armies. Humans survive because of intelligence, patience, and trust. That is our power. Zerk, Kyler, and Thanes met secretly to discuss their next mission. Zerk said, we faced only 5 humans, only scouts, yet they almost destroyed our mission. How can we fight an entire human army if we cannot handle a few? Thanes replied. We must learn. We cannot rush. Humans survive by thinking, adapting, and acting together. We must understand them before attacking again. Kyler finally spoke, voice low. I have never feared so much in my life. 5 humans, only scouts, have shown me how little we understand. We must change everything if we face them again. On Earth's moon, Jack addressed the scouts. We have done our job. We delayed them, observed their movements, and survived. The princes will report and the Empire will learn. Humans cannot be ignored. Emma added, we are small, but we are clever. We act together. That is enough to survive and to make even the strongest empires think twice. Lucas grinned. And they will think twice for a long time. 5 scouts can do what armies cannot. Humans win because we use our brains, trust each other, and act as one. Claire nodded. We only need to survive and learn. That is our job as scouts. Humans endure because we adapt, observe, and think first. That is our power. The alien princes returned to their empire, shaken and fearful. They had learned that humans were not weak, that small teams could achieve big results, and that intelligence and teamwork could defeat technology and pride. 5 humans, Jack, Emma, Lucas, Claire, and their small team, had revealed a truth that would change the Empire's view of humanity forever. Zerk, Kyler, and Thanes stared at the stars. "We have seen the truth," Zerk said quietly. "Humans survive, they adapt, they think. And that is their greatest strength," Thanes nodded. "We faced only scouts and they almost destroyed us. Humanity is not to be underestimated. We must prepare carefully for what comes next." Kyler remained silent, the weight of what they had seen pressing on him. 5 humans had shown him that size, power, and technology were not everything. The mind, patience, and teamwork of humanity could achieve what even empires could not. On the moon, the scouts rested, ready for the next challenge. They had proven that small teams could survive, delay, and teach even princes to fear humanity. The truth about humans was clear. Survival came from intelligence, trust, and unity. And no empire, no matter how strong, could ignore that. Humanity's story was just beginning, and the galaxy would soon learn that even small, ordinary humans could change the course of events with courage, skill, and cleverness. Part 4. Losing everything, the alien empire was angry. Zerk, Kyler, and Thanes had returned from their mission humiliated. 5 human scouts had delayed them, interfered with their ships, and forced them to retreat. The princes had warned the Empire about humanity, but the leaders were unwilling to accept the truth at first. "Humans are weak," one high commander said. "We outnumber them, our ships are stronger, a few scouts cannot change the galaxy." Thanes shook his head. "We were wrong, they are not weak, they are clever, coordinated, and fearless. Even a small team can destroy our plans if we do not act carefully." Zerk slammed his claw on the table. "We must act now, send the fleet, destroy them before they grow stronger," the Emperor spoke calmly. "We will send a fleet, but it will not be a reckless attack. Humanity is clever, we must be careful, failure is not an option." The alien fleet began moving toward the solar system. Thousands of ships glimmered in the blackness of space. The Empire believed that overwhelming power would crush humanity, but they underestimated one thing: the human scouts were ready. Jack Carter and Emma Wright watched the incoming ships on their sensors. "They are coming," Jack said calmly. "More ships than we expected, but that is okay. We do not need to fight them directly. We only need to delay, confuse, and survive." Emma nodded. "We can handle this. Humans win because we think carefully, act together, and adapt. Small teams can do big damage if we use intelligence." Lucas Hall adjusted the drones in orbit. "They think numbers matter most. We will show them that brains and teamwork matter more." Claire Benson checked medical supplies. "We do not need to attack. We only need to protect ourselves and slow them down. Patience is our weapon." The alien fleet moved closer to the moon. Zerk shouted orders, expecting humans to flee in fear. "They will run. We are overwhelming. Destroy them quickly." Thanes warned. "Do not be so sure, brother. Humans do not act like other species. They are small, but they are clever. Even a scout team can ruin our plans." As the aliens approached, Jack's team activated a network of traps and decoys. Holograms of dozens of humans appeared across the moon. Energy pulses disrupted alien sensors. Drones flew silently, jamming communication and guiding ships into asteroid fields. Zerk's eyes widened. "They are everywhere, hundreds. No, impossible. It is only a few humans." Kyler's hands shook. "They are clever beyond measure. We cannot see them, but they control the battlefield." Thanes pressed his claws to the console. "We are underestimating them again. Patience, we must adapt." The alien fleet attempted to fire, but the holograms and pulses caused misfires. Ships collided with asteroids, shields overloaded, and engines faltered. The Empire's pride turned to panic. Back on the moon, Jack and Emma coordinated every move. "Keep calm," Jack whispered. "Their fleet is strong, but we control what they see. Small actions create confusion." "We survive by being clever, patient, and united," Emma nodded. "Humans win because we think, adapt, and act together. 5 scouts can delay a fleet if we use intelligence." Lucas guided drones to intercept alien signals. Their numbers mean nothing if they cannot communicate. We control the battle by controlling their eyes and ears. Claire moved calmly, providing support and checking that all team members were safe. We survive by observation, preparation, and teamwork. That is what humans do best. As the battle continued, the alien fleet lost ships without understanding why. Zerk shouted angrily, "How can 5 humans stop so many ships? This is madness." Thanes' voice was quiet but serious. "We underestimated their tactics. Humans survive because they think differently. Small teams, clever strategies, and patience can defeat larger forces." Kyler stared at the stars, silent. He could not believe what he was seeing. Humans were small, fragile, and simple, but they acted as if they were generals commanding armies. The alien fleet began to retreat after suffering losses. Panic spread among commanders who could not understand how a few humans had caused so much damage. Zerk, Kyler, and Thanes were left humiliated. Back on the moon, Jack addressed the team. "We did it. We delayed them. We survived. They will report back to their empire, and they will think twice before returning in full force." Emma added, "Humans survive by being clever, patient, and united. Small teams can do what large fleets cannot. That is the lesson we teach them today." Lucas smiled. "We do not need to fight directly. We only need to confuse, control, and adapt. Humans survive because we plan, observe, and act together." Claire nodded. "Patience is our weapon. Teamwork is our shield. Humans endure because we think, learn, and trust each other." The alien princes returned to their empire, shocked and defeated. Every report they sent carried the same message. Humans were clever, patient, and dangerous. Small teams could defeat even the strongest fleets if they used intelligence. Zerk whispered angrily, "We faced humans, only scouts, and we almost lost everything. What will happen if a full human army comes?" Thanes replied calmly, "We cannot underestimate them again. Humans survive because they think differently. We must prepare carefully before acting. Our strength alone is not enough." Kyler remained silent, haunted by the memory of a few humans controlling chaos in ways his empire could not predict. On Earth's moon, Jack gathered the scouts. "We have shown them our strength without firing heavy weapons." 5 humans delayed a fleet, controlled the battlefield, and forced princes to retreat. "That is enough for now," Emma nodded. "Humans survive because we think, adapt, and act as one. Small teams can achieve big results. We only need intelligence, patience, and trust." Lucas added, "We confuse, delay, and control. They think numbers matter, but we show that strategy matters more. Humans survive by thinking, not by force." Claire smiled. "And we will continue to survive. Humans endure because we observe, plan, and act together. That is our power." The alien empire began to reconsider its strategy. Commanders who once relied on numbers and technology now understood that humans were dangerous in ways they could not measure. Even fleets were vulnerable to small, intelligent teams. Zerk, Kyler, and Thanes met with the Emperor. Zerk spoke quietly. "Your Majesty, humans are not weak. Small teams, clever strategies, they survive against overwhelming odds. We cannot attack recklessly." Thanes added, "We need to observe, learn, and plan. Humans survive because they think differently, act together, and adapt. Our pride nearly cost us everything." Kyler nodded slowly. "We have seen the truth. 5 humans, only scouts, delayed a fleet. Humans endure because of intelligence and teamwork, not strength alone." The Emperor's face was serious. "Then we will proceed carefully. Humans cannot be underestimated again. Prepare observation fleets. Learn from them before attempting attacks. Failure is not an option." On the moon, the scouts rested, ready for whatever came next. They had proven that small teams could survive, delay, and confuse fleets far stronger than themselves. Humanity's strength was clear. Patience, intelligence, and teamwork could defeat even the mightiest enemies. Jack looked at the horizon. "We survived, delayed them, and taught them a lesson. Humans endure because we think first, act carefully, and trust each other. That is enough to survive." Emma nodded. "And tomorrow we prepare again. Humans will continue to endure, adapt, and survive. That is our true strength." Lucas grinned. "Let them come. Humans survive by thinking, planning, and acting as one. No fleet, no empire can stop that." Claire smiled quietly. "Humans endure because we are clever, patient, and united. That is our power. Small teams can achieve big results, and we have proven it." The alien fleet limped away, humiliated and defeated by 5 scouts. The princes returned home, shocked and frightened. The Empire began to learn a harsh lesson. Humans were not to be underestimated. Even small teams could change the balance of power in the galaxy. Humanity's scouts had survived again, proving that intelligence, teamwork, and patience were more powerful than pride, numbers, or advanced technology. The story of humanity's cleverness, patience, and strength was spreading, and the galaxy would soon learn that humans were far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Part 5. A warning to the stars, the alien princes returned to their empire, humbled and shaken. Zerk, Kyler, and Thanes had faced humans-only scouts and had barely survived. Every report they gave to the Emperor was full of warnings. Humans were clever, patient, and fearless. 5 scouts had delayed entire fleets, confused commanders, and shattered pride. The Emperor frowned. If what you say is true, we cannot fight humans recklessly. We cannot rely on numbers alone. We must think carefully, or we will lose more than we have already. Zerk lowered his head. We underestimated them. We thought they were weak. We faced only scouts, only 5, and we almost lost everything. They survive by thinking, adapting, and acting together. They are different, Thanes added. We must not attack again without understanding them fully. Humans are clever, coordinated, and patient. Our technology alone will not win battles. We need to learn or we will be defeated. Kyler remained silent. The memory of the scouts on the moon haunted him. Humans were small, fragile, and simple, but they had acted as if they were generals commanding fleets. Even a single scout could change the outcome of a battle. Back on Earth's moon, Jack Carter gathered the human scouts. The Empire will send more ships, he said calmly. We cannot stop every fleet, but we can delay, confuse, and survive. That is enough for now. Humans endure because we think, adapt, and act together. Emma Wright nodded. We only need intelligence, patience, and teamwork. Small teams can achieve big results. We survive because we plan, observe, and act as one. That is humanity's real strength. Lucas Hall grinned as his drones floated silently around the moon. They think power and numbers matter. We show them that strategy and cleverness matter more. Humans survive because we think first. Claire Benson checked supplies and medical equipment. We do not need to fight recklessly. Humans endure because we observe, prepare, and act together. That is our shield. The alien empire decided to send another fleet, stronger and more prepared than before. They believed overwhelming numbers could crush humans. The princes warned against it, but the commanders insisted. Zerk argued, 5 scouts delayed us before. Do you not see the danger? Humans are clever, patient, and coordinated. Numbers alone will not win, Thanes added. Our pride nearly cost us everything. If we attack recklessly, humans will adapt and we will lose more. Kyler finally spoke. We cannot underestimate them again. Humans survive because they act differently. Even small teams can defeat fleets. We must respect that. The alien fleet entered the outer planets of the solar system. Thousands of ships gleamed in the blackness of space. The Empire believed they were unstoppable. The princes watched nervously, fearing what humans could do. Jack and Emma coordinated the scouts carefully. We do not need to destroy them, Jack said. We only need to survive, delay, and teach them caution. Humans endure because we are clever, patient, and united. Emma nodded. We will confuse them, slow them, and make them learn. Small teams can change outcomes if we use intelligence. Humans survive because we act together. Lucas deployed drones to interfere with communications. They rely on orders, numbers, and technology. We rely on brains, observation, and strategy. Humans endure because we think first. Claire monitored signals from the alien fleet. Every mistake they make is a lesson for them. Humans survive because we adapt, trust each other, and act as one. Patience is our power. The alien fleet fired, but their shots were misdirected. Holograms and energy pulses made it seem as if humans were everywhere. Ships collided with asteroids and each other. Confusion spread among commanders who could not understand how humans controlled the battlefield. Zerk shouted angrily. How can 5 humans know? How can small teams control fleets this way? This is impossible, Thanes replied quietly. It is not impossible. Humans survive because they think differently. Strategy, observation, and patience can defeat technology and numbers. Kyler did not speak. He stared at the chaos, realizing that humans were unlike any species the Empire had ever faced. 5 scouts, small and ordinary, were teaching a lesson no empire could ignore. Jack whispered to his team, "We survived again. We delayed them. They will carry our lesson back to their empire." Humans endure because we act as one, think carefully, and adapt. That is enough for now. Emma smiled. We only need to survive, protect ourselves, and observe. Humans win when we use intelligence and teamwork. Small teams can achieve what armies cannot. Lucas added, we control what they see, interfere with their systems, and force them to make mistakes. Humans survive because we plan, act together, and trust each other. Claire nodded. We do not need to fight directly. Humans endure because we are clever, patient, and united. That is our power. That is our lesson for the galaxy. The alien fleet suffered heavy losses and confusion. The Empire realized that their pride and technology were not enough to defeat humans. Zerk, Kyler, and Thanes reported the truth to the Emperor. Zerk said quietly, Your Majesty, humans are clever, coordinated, and patient. Small teams can delay fleets, confuse commanders, and survive against overwhelming odds. We cannot attack recklessly. Thanes added, Their strength is not in numbers, but in intelligence, observation, and teamwork. We faced only scouts, yet we almost lost everything. Humans endure because they think, act together, and adapt. Kyler nodded slowly. We have learned the truth. Humans are not weak. They survive against the odds because they are clever, patient, and united. Even small teams can defeat fleets. The Emperor finally understood. Then we will not fight recklessly. Humans are to be respected. We will seek understanding and defense before attempting attacks. Failure is not an option. On the moon, Jack and Emma prepared for the next day. The Empire has learned our lesson, Jack said. We survived, delayed them, and forced them to think carefully. Humans endure because we act as one, trust each other, and adapt. That is enough for now, Emma nodded. We only need intelligence, patience, and teamwork. Humans survive because we plan, observe, and act together. That is our strength. Lucas smiled as drones floated silently. Let them come. Humans survive because we think first, adapt, and trust each other. Numbers and pride cannot defeat that. Claire checked supplies one last time. Humans endure because we are clever, united, and patient. Even small teams can achieve big results. That is our power. The alien princes returned to their empire, carrying a clear warning. Humans could not be underestimated. Small teams could confuse fleets, delay armies, and teach empires to respect intelligence, teamwork, and patience. Zerk whispered to his brothers, We faced humans only scouts, and we almost lost everything. The galaxy must learn not to underestimate them. Thanes nodded. Humans survive because they think differently. We cannot ignore them. Even small teams can change the course of events. Kyler finally spoke, voice low but certain. We have learned the truth. Humans endure because they are clever, patient, and united. The Empire must respect that. On Earth's moon, the scouts watched the stars. They had survived again, delayed fleets, and forced an empire to rethink its strategy. Humanity's story was spreading across the galaxy. Small teams, intelligence, and teamwork had proven more powerful than pride, numbers, or technology. Jack looked at the horizon. We survived. We delayed them. That is enough for now. Humans endure because we think, act together, and adapt. That is our real strength. Emma added, and tomorrow we prepare again. Humans survive because we plan, trust each other, and act as one. Even small teams can change the galaxy. Lucas smiled. Let them come. Humans endure because brains, teamwork, and patience are stronger than pride, numbers, or weapons. That is our lesson for the stars. Claire nodded quietly. Humans endure because we are clever, patient, and united. Even small teams can achieve big results. That is our power. That is our warning to the galaxy. The alien empire had learned a harsh truth. Humans were clever, coordinated, and fearless. Small teams could delay fleets, confuse commanders, and survive against overwhelming odds. The galaxy would no longer see humanity as weak or simple. Humanity had left a clear message for the stars. Patience, intelligence, and teamwork are more powerful than pride, numbers, or technology. Small teams could change the course of battles, fleets, and even empires. And humanity's scouts, small and ordinary, had shown the galaxy that survival, courage, and cleverness could overcome even the strongest opponents. The stars were quiet, but humanity was ready. Patient, united, and clever, they would endure. And any who underestimated them would learn the same lesson the alien princes had learned. Never underestimate humans.